It's another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the films of January 30th, 1998. We got 6 movies to look at today, so let's not waste any more time. Let's just jump right on into it, and we'll start off with the biggest new release of the weekend, the modernized retelling of Charles Dickens' classic novel, Great Expectations. You can tell that this is a modernized retelling of Charles Dickens' classic novel. You see Ethan Hawke and Gwyneth Paltrow as the couple in this. Hank Azaria, Robert De Niro, Anne Bancroft. Chris Cooper is also in the film as well. This is co-written and directed by Alfonso Cuarón, his third film and his second in America after he did A Little Princess. He co-wrote this with Mitch Glazer and also an uncredited rewrite from David Mamet. And you can tell there's changes in the script in terms of the character names. Like Pip is not Pip in this; his name is Finn. The character Miss Havisham is named Nora Dinsmore, and Abel Magwitch is now Arthur Lustig. That's the Robert De Niro character. And I guess they were trying to recapture the success they had with Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet from a couple years back, which worked for what it was trying to do. But this one, not so much. It's a film that I think has some good elements to it. I think Ethan Hawke and Gwyneth Paltrow work fine in the movie. Most of the performances in here aren't too bad. But I really don't have too many real memories of this movie. I saw it one time. It was fine for what it is, but it's not one of those movies I'd go back and watch over and over again. It's a film that's just kind of like, it's there. It's nothing too special, nothing too crazy. So I wish I had some more to say about it, honestly. But you feel like that Alfonso Cuarón has directed so many other better movies that this one kind of gets pushed off to the side. Probably for a good reason. It's a film that's not really all that impressive or that memorable, honestly, but it's fine for what it is. It kind of starts off strong and then kind of fades off a little bit when it's all said and done. So I wish I had some more to say about it, but that's pretty much all I remember from this movie. Not a whole lot. So that's Great Expectations for you. So coincidentally, Great Expectations didn't meet the great expectations it was supposed to set, but I digress. Let's move on to the next movie that we have here, and that is Babette Schroeder's Desperate Measures with Michael Keaton and Andy Garcia. So Andy Garcia plays the San Francisco police officer who's in a search to find a comparable bone marrow donor to his gravely ill son. And there's one donor. Unfortunately, he's a convicted multiple murderer, played by Michael Keaton, who sees a trip to the hospital as the perfect opportunity to get what he wants most, freedom. And when he leaves, the entire hospital becomes a battleground, and the cop must pursue and, ironically, protect the deadly fugitive who is his son's only hope for survival. The interesting thing about this movie is that Babette Schroeder directed it, but originally Michael Bay was supposed to direct this movie. He was supposed to direct this film, but he turned it down to do The Rock, which ended up working in his favor. But this would have been something pretty interesting. I would have liked to see what Michael Bay would have done with this, honestly. Something outside of his normal thing, but like I said, he did it for The Rock instead, which ended up being a really good movie in the process. This film, not so much. It's hard to believe this is the same director that gave us Reversal of Fortune. How much of a downward spiral he's taken since then. Single White Female, Kiss of Death, Before and After, and now this movie. And yeah, this is not a very entertaining film at all. This is a film that's just kind of bland, not really all that exciting, and it wastes some really good talent on board here. You have Michael Keaton and Andy Garcia. You would think there'd be a good movie here with those two actors there. You also have Brian Cox, Marcia Gay Harden. Like, so much potential there. Just didn't live up to any of the expectations that they had for it. And it's pretty generic, too. It's a mediocre film that doesn't really have anything going for it. You can kind of figure out where it's going to go when it's all said and done. It's a pretty forgettable movie. I mean, it's a January movie. What more can you expect from it? And speaking of January movies that you can kind of see coming from a mile away that are not going to be great, here's Stephen Sommers' Dead Rising. I know I just said Dead Rising. No, it's Deep Rising. Deep Rising is the name of the film. But, I mean, it's pretty much the Poseidon Adventure meets Alien. I mean, it's like the Poseidon Adventure. Stephen Sommers looked at the Poseidon Adventure and said, you know what, this could actually use aliens from another planet. And lo and behold, this is what we got here. You have Treat Williams, Famke Janssen, Anthony Held. A story that really has been done before. Like I said, it's just the Poseidon Adventure, but it's just throwing aliens in there. And it's nothing that incredible. The effects on the CG alien aren't that exciting whatsoever. I mean, we had a movie like this similarly come out the year before with The Relic, which is pretty much a mix between Night at the Museum meets Alien, but that film worked a lot better because the alien design looked so much better, and it was much more interesting of a story to go along with that. But this This just feels like they've taken two things that could work and just putting it to a really lackluster script that's not really all that impressive or all that engaging. And the fact that Industrial Light and Magic was behind this, and this is the best they could do, it's just like, it's a mess, man. It's a mess of a movie on so many levels. And Treat Williams deserves a lot better than this. Like, Treat Williams deserved to star in much better movies than this. In addition to him, Famke Jensen, and Anthony Held, you have Wes Studi, Clifton Powell, Cliff Curtis, Jaimin Hansu. But like I said, it's just a film that's been done to death so many times already, and it was just kind of like, there's so much potential there with the storyline, but just a bad delivery overall. And it's just like, yeah, and coincidentally, this came out a week after Phantoms, which is pretty much the same type of a film, taking good actors and wasting them on material that could have been so much better. But yeah, the film was just a mess. I know it has a cult following to it, but it's definitely not one of Stephen Sommers' best movies, honestly. So that's Deep Rising. So let's go ahead and move on to an actual good film that came out this weekend. Jake Kasdan's Zero Effect with Bill Pullman and Ben Stiller. So Bill Pullman plays this private investigator, Daryl Zero, along with his assistant Steve Arlo, played by Ben. I keep doing it again. Ben Stiller. Ben Stiller is the guy that's playing Steve Arlo, not Ben Affleck. Get Ben Affleck out of your head. Okay. Anyway, so Daryl Zero, played by Bill Pullman, is a private investigator, along with his assistant Steve Arlo, played by Ben Stiller. He solves impossible crimes and puzzles through a master investigator who is not working. Zero doesn't know what to do with himself. He has no social skills, he writes bad music, he drives Arlo crazy, and in his latest case, he must find out who is blackmailing a rich executive, and when his client won't tell him why, the only problem with the case is that Zero has done something he's never done before and got emotionally involved. So this is pretty much a modern-day retelling of Sherlock Holmes. I mean, the film is literally loosely based on one of Arthur Conan Doyle's stories, A Scandal in Bohemia, and they found a way to make it really enjoyable. It's a really well-made film. This director, Jake Kasdan, would later go on to direct comedies such as Walk Hard, the Jumanji movies, Red One. I mean, he's a pretty good director. And this was his first major film as a director, and it's a really good job taking a story like Sherlock Holmes, bringing it to a modern generation, and creating a very fun, very unique comedy that has a lot of good jokes in it, a really good cast involved. I mean, Bill Pullman and Ben Stiller work off each other so well here, and a pretty good Ryan O'Neal performance too. Everyone kind of forgot about him at this point after the movies he starred in, but this is a nice return to form for him. But like I said, the movie as a whole really is well done. It's a very slick film, a very impressive film overall. And would you believe this is also produced by Jim Henson's wife, Lisa Henson? Yeah, she's one of the producers on this. And I thought that was just pretty interesting too. This is a really good film. It's definitely the strongest film of the films that we're looking at this week. Definitely check it out if you haven't seen it already. It's a really good, underrated little gem. So, with that said, on to the next movie. Yet another star-studded misfire, and that is Deceiver. So I guess this is multiple stories rolled into one. You have this textile company heir, played by Tim Roth, who's accused of murdering a prostitute named Elizabeth, played by Renee Zellweger, whose body is found cut in two. The murder is then investigated by this detective, played by Michael Rooker, and his less experienced partner, played by Chris Penn. Tim Roth's character is a heavy drinker and compulsive liar. He's prone to memory losses, periods of violence. He's rich enough to access necessary information. However, as soon as he learns his interrogator's own dark secrets, Michael Rooker's character has an affair with Elizabeth to get back at his wife, Rosanna Arquette, for cheating on him. And Braxton has gambling debts with a bookie named Mook, played by Ellen Burstyn, who's demanding $20,000 in payment. Maybe it's not three different stories. Maybe it's just a story that's just so all over the place they couldn't decide what direction to take with it. And the film, I think, kind of suffers from that. Good actors all around here. Tim Roth, Chris Penn, Ellen Burstyn, Renee Zellweger, Michael Rooker, Rosanna Arquette, Michael Parks. Just a good cast overall here, but just so much stuff going on here. And it's just kind of a generic movie. It's a film that nothing really kind of like with some of the other movies we looked at this week, nothing really interesting happens in here. It's mostly a story that has some potential, but never really lives up to that potential. It's supposed to be a film that is supposed to make you guess what's going to happen, and you can kind of figure out what's going to happen as soon as you see some of the elements that they show in here. It's not an engaging story whatsoever. It's not an interesting story whatsoever. A lot of these actors who are trying their best here really are not given enough good material to make it stand out. It's a forgettable movie, man. It's a bland, forgettable mess of a film, so I wish I had some more to say about it, but that's pretty much all I remember from it, from the film that I saw a long, long time ago. I only saw it once, never saw it again, and for good reason. Anyway, on to the last film, and that is 4 Days in September. So this is a Brazilian thriller film directed by this guy who has made a couple of notable films here in America. One Tough Cop, most notably A View from the Top, which is the Gwyneth Paltrow airplane comedy, which featured a ton of celebrities in that one. We won't get to that one for another 5 years. But in this movie, this is basically a dramatized version of the 1969 kidnapping of the United States ambassador to Brazil, Charles Burke Elbrick, played by Alan Arkin, by these members of the revolutionary movement 8 October, and Aceo Libertadora Nacione, ALN. I don't speak Brazilian, so I'm just reading it off of here. I think that's how you pronounce it. If it's not, I apologize, but it doesn't really matter anyway, because I haven't seen the movie, so I don't really know if it's any good or not. I mean, I'd probably see it just for Alan Arkin. I mean, Alan Arkin usually will bring another level to a film like this, but I don't know. It's got some mixed reviews on here. It doesn't have a lot of good praise going for it, so maybe it's not a movie that really... I mean, maybe it's not a movie that's not that great. It did get nominated for a Best Foreign Language Film Oscar at the Academy Awards. It didn't win, so it's got to be worth something, I guess. Fisher Stevens is also in it, too, for some reason. I don't know why, but like I said, I haven't seen the movie, so I can't really say if it's any good or not. Maybe it is actually good. I don't know, but I don't know. I don't know. How many times can I say I don't know in this? So let's take a drink. That's my fourth one, but I'm just killing time right now. So that's 4 Days in September. And on that little bizarre way to end this episode, that's going to do it for another edition of Time About the Movies. When we come back next time, it'll be February, and we have Chow Yun-fat making his American film debut with Mira Sorvino in the thriller The Replacement Killers. One of the worst movies of all time, one of the worst sequels of all time, and that is Blues Brothers 2000 with Dan Aykroyd and John Goodman trying to recapture the spirit of the original Blues Brothers and failing miserably. We're going to delve into that one big time because that's one of my least favorite movies of all time. But we also have The Night Filler and Nil by Mouth. So 4 movies to look at next time. We'll delve into those on the next episode. But until then, thank you very much for watching. And if you want to see more videos like this, please hit the playlist on the next page. Check out the previous episode. And also don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button if you want to see more videos like this on this channel. So with that said, thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys next time. And until then, as always, take care.